How do you manage scope in indie development? No clue, mate. I started improving the exploration of my open world roguelike game, upgrading chunks and enemies, and then somehow ended up adding crafting and destruction. So that shows I'm the king of stopping scope creep. But right now, let's get back to the start of fixing exploration. At this very moment, the world just consists of varying chunk heights, 2 structures, 3 biomes, and I need to improve it. So to do so, I wanted to make walking around the world feel like it has a purpose and not just aimlessness. This attempt to fix the world consists of 5 different parts, starting with Number 1. Fixing the player getting lost and walking around aimlessly. For this, I decided to make a map showing all the chunks that the world has generated. However, this felt a little bit bland as the player knows where everything is at all times, and is this really exploring? No, of course it isn't, so I hid the chunks unless they've been loaded in the world, or they are in a biome where the dungeon has been discovered. Number 2. The world at the moment is just anger and attacking, where you explore the world and try to avoid getting killed. The player needs a rest. A rest in a village full of bread houses because, ducks. When entering the village, a car music starts playing as well, which adds a lot to the atmosphere. Number 3. The world is too plain. There needs to be something extra that the player can see but not interact with. So I added some decorations which worked the first time, with no errors of them accidentally covering the whole screen. Hey, stop looking at that! Number 4. The world needed more content in general, which for this pass meant more enemies, being this cactus and these 2 crabs, more structures and another biome. This added more for the player to look at and engage with in the world, making exploration feel good and not as repetitive. And finally, when a chunk was unloaded and reloaded, anything you had done previously would be entirely reversed, meaning it felt like you had no impact on the game at all, making the game feel like it has no impact on you as well. And it felt so good to change that. I made a system to create IDs for the structures and added it into a global dictionary, making the world persistent so now you can kill enemies and they stay dead. But now, this is where things go sideways. Not wrong, just sideways. I gave my game to a few playtesters, and although there was a few miscellaneous bits of feedback, like some things being confusing and the controls being odd, the feedback that stood out the most was that the game felt like it needed something else, something more, something to make the game exciting. There were many things that I could have done in this situation, but I had a couple of rules to make sure I didn't make this project impossible to finish. The new mechanic I had to be medium-sized at most, the new mechanic had to be both connected to exploration and combat at the same time, and the new mechanic had to be fun, obviously. And what is usually paired with open world and surviving? Crafting weapons, of course. Oh no, I've fallen into the indie game trap of being too scoped. My game is going to crumble and fail because I'm going to get too overwhelmed. Oh, what's that? Oh, I kept the crafting simple and managed to make it in just over a week. The crafting consists of choosing materials to put into an array, and then it checks all of the possible weapons that it can choose from to craft. However, during this, the player gets minimal information when crafting, as I want them to learn and experiment with different crafts, figuring out which biomes can get them which weapons and from which structures they can make the coolest things from. And if you only put one material into the craft, you get that material back as a weapon, causing some incredible effects. Expect a trailer and a Steam page for this game very soon. Have a good day!